The Vocal Studio. The Vocal Studio. The Vocal Studio.
Hi everyone, this is Hannah from the Vocal Studio Singapore, and welcome to Find Your Inner Voice. Most people think that vocal lessons are about singing songs and hitting the right notes, learning how to breathe and how to belt out. And all these things are true. But what actually happens in the vocal lessons is often much deeper than that. It's not just about technique, it's more about how you think, how you feel, and how you express, and sometimes even how you see yourself. So today we're going to open up what really happens behind the scenes in the vocal lesson, and I would be happy to be joined by one of our senior vocal coaches at TVS, Coach Hydir. Welcome.
Hi everyone, welcome to Find Your Inner Voice.
It's very nice to have you back at the podcast with me. And it's been a little while since we did our previous podcast a few years ago. And I believe it was about learning K-pop. All right. So since then, it has been already several years of continuing this journey as a vocal coach. So I'm super happy to also share some questions and listen to your own insights and approaches that you are taking, experiences that you have with the students at the vocal studio. Okay, so everyone stay tuned. There will be some interesting points that will be discovered and maybe some tips that are useful for you if you are a person who's considering or now newly starting your journey as a singer or in the singing studios. Okay, so let's start with a bit of context. So, how long have you been doing the vocal coaching?
So I've been here for 6 years, going into 6 years. I began my journey with TVS from 2020, October 2020, and right now I've been coaching many students of different backgrounds, different age, different background, age, and gender. Yeah, about gender.
Okay. Well, I think it's very hard to count the number of lessons and then the number of the students that you meet, right? Because it's quite many. But if you could just kind of guess over the 6 years, how many people do you think you might have worked with or met?
Guess, if I were to guess, I think it's about 3 to 500, between 3 to 500. Yeah.
Yeah, 300 to 500 people. Okay. Well, that means it's really a lot, right? And if we count that by the lessons that you have had, then it's going to be, I think, surely over 2,000. Well, it can be easily that. So, from your experience, who are usually the people that you work with? You did mention that it's really a variety of the people, right? But could you give me the age range and maybe the different goals that they have? Why are they coming to you for the voice lessons?
Okay, so I have students aged 7, from 7 to 64. They have different goals, different intentions, different purposes, and different ways of using their voice. And usually for younger singers, they want to learn about what they can do with their voice. Right?
What they can do with their voice.
Yeah, what can you do with your voice? What can we do with our voice? We can talk, we can sing, and we can express ourselves. So when we say about expressing ourselves, it means, in a technical term, then it means that you can actually use your voice however you want. In a speech-like voice, in an operatic way, twang, curbing, breathy, belting, vibrato, what else? Sing in a loud volume. So they want to explore all these ways of using their voice to better express the songs that they want to sing.
All right. So you were talking about, okay, so the younger ones are a little bit more, I think, goal-driven or ambitious about expanding their or strengthening their vocal abilities, right, through the technical training, and then also songs, right? How about non-young ones?
For the non-young ones, usually I think they have a vision of like where they want to perform. They may be performing for their company, so they already have a specific list of songs that they want to explore. But the challenge that they are facing is usually technical. But for those who come into the lesson without knowing what they can do, they they stay open into trying different genres, different styles. Yep.
So you just mentioned that some people come without knowing what they can do, right? Then, so they come to the lesson to find out what they can do.
Yeah, so I think it's our job as a vocal coach to help facilitate the lesson, to facilitate how they can breathe, where should they breathe, what kind of tones they want to sing a phrase. But it's not our job to tell them to do a specific sound because we don't believe in singing a song one way. You can sing a song many different ways. It's art. So art, it depends how you want to use the color pencil. You can use a dark color or light color to color a canvas that expresses your intentions.
I see. All right. So, well, just to kind of put out the cases, right? Examples of the students who come to the vocal lessons. When you mentioned like young students, I guess I'm imagining around the teenagers, or it can be just a bit younger than that, to the maybe 20s, right? 20s. It can be early 30s too. Do you consider them young students?
I think age is just a number.
Yeah. So then the people who are
Yeah.
within that kind of range, they're the ones who are more, into working on their voice. Then there are other cases of the students who are coming in for a very specific purpose, right, of completing for the performance.
Yeah, I do have old students, elder students from 50s to 60s, but the spirit is very young.
I see.
Yeah, so my question is, how do you view that in a holistic approach? So that remains a question.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So the ones who are young at heart, right? And then those are the people, then I guess, who are coming in to really explore the unknown territory, to see what they really can do with their voice. They are not so sure, but then there is a curiosity to find out. And then I also love the part that you did mention that it's the singing approach and then the coaching approach for those is really to allow that exploration to happen, right? So sometimes the coaching needs very clear instructions and guidelines, and then maybe the drills and the reps that the students need to do, because there are some sciences around how the voice develops. But I guess there needs to be also a completely opposite area of, as you mentioned, walking the unknown path and then developing artistry and giving the freedom for the students to really experience a diversity, a variety of potentials, and then navigate where they want to go in their singing. Yeah. Okay. Lovely. All right. So then, so you are currently the only male coach at the studio, and so then my curiosity is to ask you about your experience of working with the male students and also the female students. When you work with them, do you see or do you feel any difference, or is there any kind of a preference, or it's easier for you to work with a female or like a male voices because of the gender difference? And do you think that also applies for the students from their end? Do you think it's easier for the female students to work with a female coach, male student to work with a male coach? In that very binary way, right? But then I'm just asking that as a question so that you can share some of your thoughts and your experiences.
I feel fundamentally, whether we are a male or a female, coming into the lesson, we all have the same fundamental instrument, right? We have lungs, we have diaphragm, correct? We have vocal cords, we have all the muscles that functions inside the throat as the instrument. We have tongue and all of that. What is the advantage of a male vocal coach, you ask? I guess for me personally, I feel that I can like sing from like lower range to the upper range, and it covers baritone, tenor, alto, soprano. Yeah, soprano may be a challenge for me, but yes, I can cover all that grounds that can help the student to listen to what they need to learn inside the class. Yep.
So you're saying that, okay, so one thing, whether you're a man or a woman, we're all Homo sapiens, I guess. We're all human beings. We all have all this a more shared structure of the body, and
Yeah.
then that function in a similar principle, even though there is individual differences. So as long as the coaches know that difference, they can guide you along. And then the definite benefit that you have as a male coach is, it's really true. The wide range that you have is what allows you to work with maybe also more like, a range of the voices. So, I mean, I can work with a male voice, but then it's just, I cannot demonstrate it as easily.
But it's really not about me. When a student comes into the lesson, it's all about the vocal coach guiding the students and finding where they are in their journey in their voice. So, if for example, if you're a baritone, then it starts on a A2, and if you're a tenor, it starts on a C3. If you're an alto, it starts on a E3, right? If you're a mezzo, then it starts on a G4. So coming into the lesson, these are the things that vocal coaches need to understand. So to be able to guide the students and inform the student about their voice on where they are in terms of the registers and their vocal range. Yeah.
I see.
So there's a lot of technical work. But on top of that, I feel it's also about chemistry between the coaches and the student. Yeah.
What do you mean by the chemistry between the coach and then the students?
Well, chemistry is really how you communicate, how you make people feel. Yeah. So if we as coaches, we need to feel ready to communicate with the student. Like, for example, when the student comes into the lesson, we need to understand where they are coming from. Were they from school? Were they from home? How long did they take? What is the journey they take from their home or school to the vocal studio? Yeah. And you need to ask the students, how are you today? Have you had lunch? What did you do in lesson in your school or at home? Because all that prior to the lesson is going to affect how you sing inside the lesson.
So, the considerations that you are taking for your students, and also knowledge of knowing and then discerning where they are, vocal range wise, and then you did mention just now about the chemistry. So, do you feel like you have better chemistry with certain students than other students? Then do you have any specific type of
I
students that
don't
you
think
feel
like
more
that. I don't think
strong
like that.
chemistry
Do I
with?
have a better chemistry with person A? Do I have a better chemistry with person B? I don't. Even if I do feel that way, I don't go into it. I don't react to it.
I see.
I just let it be
Okay.
because that's who they are.
I see.
I'm not there to judge them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it doesn't matter the gender differences, because what's more important is the coach's ability to really understand what's happening in the human voice, right? And then also the student's voice, and also the coach's ability to build a good chemistry, right? Every lesson does need that interaction and then synergy, and then ability to care for the student so that they can feel supported and then free, safe enough to explore their lessons, right? So that's your take on my question, which was very, black and white. Should female singers work with only the female coaches? No, not the case, right? Okay, cool.
But I always wonder why they think like, oh, I'm a female singer, I need to get a female coach. Do you think that's true?
The true, as in, I do think that, your preference, as in the singer's preference, does matter, because the preference is what's giving them more sense of comfort when they first start. It's not because it's better or worse. It's more because that's the area they're feeling comfortable with. And if you are if the singers are little bit more, I think, nervous or shy, to start their singing journey, they want to start from an environment where they can, feel more at ease. And if that happens to be the coaches who are male or female, they feel more comfortable with, I think it can be an advantage, or it's a good choice that we can respect. But I don't think necessarily it's what applies as a general rule. Yeah. So, and really, it's nice actually to work. Same gender, the benefit of the same gender coach is maybe when the demonstration happens, it's a little bit more easier for the students to like copy and relate it to. But that is a very short term, more in the beginning phase, what might make the lesson a little more easier. But at the end of the day, the lessons should be really about the students understanding their own voice. It's not about copying the coach's voice, right? And then many students actually learn by copying the coaches, not necessarily owning or listening and reflecting their own voices. So I think that's what I'll be a little bit more careful about when I teach the female singers, because they might want to just imitate the way I sound, not the technique that I'm trying to teach. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
So both good and the bad. Okay. So, all right, moving on to one more question. It's more about now where you stand in terms of your approach and then your growth and your journey as a vocal coach. So you have been teaching for about 5-6 years, right? And to grow as a good vocal coach, I think everyone, as much as the singers are taking their own very unique personal journey, I think coaches are also taking their own unique and personal journey to grow themselves as a vocal coach, right? So what has your journey been like? And from now, when I ask you, what do you think is a good vocal coach? Then how would you answer that? So first one is like, what was the journey like for you to grow yourself as a vocal coach? And secondly, it would be about, so now, what do you think is a good vocal coach?
If I can answer that in one phrase, I would say a good vocal coach would understand the goals of the student. Yeah.
The goals of the student. I see. Okay. Then yeah, that's very nice. I think it's a simple enough, but then at the same time you have the thoughts, right, that you have been placing into that. So yeah, then for you to be that good vocal coach who understand the goals of the students, how have you been or how are you growing yourself?
So throughout these 5 years, I feel that I have been reading a lot of vocal science, CCM, contemporary voice, and what is the recent and what is the newest way of singing, which is belting, mixing, yeah, and connecting all your vocal registers. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so the voice science studying of it, and then how the technicalities of it, like how to achieve a good technique. So I guess that's what you have been working a lot on. All right, cool. So it does require ongoing research, I guess, like from your side to constantly update your own knowledge pool, and also because you meet a variety of different students in different settings, each time it brings you maybe new questions.
Yeah, I mean, not just in voice, but in everything, a single thing in life. I feel that we update our knowledge, then we need to apply them, and as we apply them, it doesn't mean that that's the end of the world. It's always continuous because the world is ever changing. The world doesn't stop. So when the culture change, when preferences change, the voice also changes.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I will now close off maybe with my final question to you. What do you think is finding the inner voice?
The key word here is finding. How do you find your inner voice? It's by doing. When you put your knowledge into practice, then you can find your voice.
All right, that was very simple, concise, but then very insightful. We find it by doing. So we are not only in our head to find all the answers, we have to actually do it to see whether that becomes the answer. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So thank you, Hydir. If there are the questions that you have for Coach Hydir, and or anything about your singing journey, or about finding the inner voice, and any concerns about taking the vocal lessons, or decisions that you have to make about choosing the vocal coaches, I hope some of the conversations that we had gave you some insights, some ideas. And if you want to develop a better technique, or if you want to just stay curious to what your voice can do, and also if you have any special event that you're preparing, finally, if you're quite passionate about developing your artistry and your career, possibly also as a singer, you can find us at the Vocal Studio Singapore, and then we are there to work with you so that you can find the best path forward for yourself together with us. Thank you, everyone, and we'll be back to you in another episode of Find Your Inner Voice. Bye.